The Allen Institute for AI is a nonprofit research organization that advances AI for the common good through cutting-edge research, open tools, and high-impact collaborations. AI2 develops models and platforms such as Almo, an open large language model, ASTA, an agent system to support human researchers performing complex real-world scientific tasks, and other specialized AI tools and systems for science, language understanding, and environmental research. I sat down with three folks from Ai2, their COO, Sophie Lebrecht, technical program manager, Taira Anderson, and researcher, Zixian Ma, to talk through how they use Prolific to scale their data collection without sacrificing quality. Let's hear from them. Starting things off, would you be able to briefly introduce yourself and share a bit about your role at Ai2?
Yeah. I'm Taira. I'm a program manager here at Ai2, and I support our large language model team and also our multimodal model team here. And primarily my collaboration with Prolific is focused on our multimodal team's work. So right now they're working on building multimodal language models and really relying on Prolific for the huge human data collection effort. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Zixian Ma. I'm a PhD student at the University of Washington, and I'm also a researcher at the prior team at Ai2.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sophie Lebrecht, the Chief Operating Officer at Ai2.
What is the specific AI research challenge that you and Ai2 are trying to solve?
Our mission is to build breakthrough AI to tackle some of the world's biggest challenges. And often those are really complex problems that require all sorts of data to be able to build models that are truly sort of transparent, grounded in science, and are designed to benefit humanity.
Can you give an overview of the type of research that you're running on Prolific?
At Ai2, I'm mostly working on multimodal language models, specifically video language models. And that's where Prolific has been the most helpful to our research. It's for collecting a really large-scale data set of human data for training our video language models.
At Ai2, we're working on a range of models, including multimodal models that include vision language and video language systems. And these really require a lot of complex data where we do iterative research cycles that rely on annotated insights that often kind of entirely reshape data strategy and model capabilities.
What role does high quality human data play when it comes to like the responsible AI development?
Great question. Thinking about this a little bit, I think it's sort of twofold. One, I think it's really important to ensure that we're partnering with platforms that really value the human annotators as humans, right? That they're treated ethically, fairly, compensated well. And not every platform can guarantee that, nor does every platform ensure that that is at the center of what they offer and what they do. And I just don't think you can claim responsible development of AI if you're not partnering with responsible partners who are treating other humans well. So I think that's incredibly important in the process of developing responsible AI. And I think that is key. I think another sort of, more as it relates to model performance and things like this, I think, it's really clear to me and obviously to the industry that high quality human data is crucial to making sure that models are trained, fine-tuned, and evaluated on really rich data sets that lead to better models, better model performance. Whether or not they're generalized or specialized, I think we can see that like understandability, reliability of the model's output and performance and other metrics that like human users care about, those things just won't land if we don't have really strong human data at the core of the training cycle, post-training cycle, and evaluation cycle. I would say these are tools that humans build and that humans use, and to have sort of a good outcome that researchers and users care about.
Human data is essential because AI tools are built for and by humans. So without a strong human input, the outcomes just won't align with real world expectations. So in order to ensure sort of model training from pre-training to post-training, we really rely on very rich and reliable data sets that lead to better performance and usability.
Prior to AI2 and Prolific working together, like what were the biggest challenges that you faced when it comes to data collection?
That's a great question. I have to say I wasn't terribly involved with research teams with large human data collection efforts at that point. But what I can glean is that we didn't really have a great partner, a great collaborator who streamlined for us that process and did some of the heavy lifting to sort of take that burden off the researchers. So I think the researchers in the past had to be much more hands-on, and there weren't a lot of automated processes or streamlined, I guess, tooling and things like this in place that would support their ease of working, especially at scale. And I think Prolific has been a great solution to being able to provide a great platform, great tooling, and great solutions, especially as things scale up.
The next question, so very good segue of like why you chose to use Prolific and I guess scale up the research to the level that you have.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big reason why we continue to choose Prolific is just because you have been such great partners with us. I mean, of course, like the quality of the data that we've gotten over time has been incredible and has really helped our projects succeed. And we've seen that pay off. But also just as a team to work with, you all have just been fantastic and really met our needs. And then also I feel that you've gone the extra mile to build new features, work with us to resolve any bugs or snags we might come along during the life cycle of a project, to just like get those roadblocks out of the way so that our researchers can really excel at what they need to do and get the data they need. And so having that partnership and being in lockstep with us along the way has been invaluable, I think. I don't believe that that's the sort of relationship and treatment that we necessarily would get on certain other platforms. And I think part of that too reflects not only how Prolific treats us as customers, but also treats the annotators as part of a community of humans doing, work that we need them to do. So
this has actually been really positive for me, this entire experience. I think mostly because the Prolific team has been very supportive and responsive on Slack. So the communications have been going really well. And Prolific team also always reach out to us to ask us for feedback, offer suggestions, and even offer ideas for new features that would help us collect even better, higher quality data. So everything has been really helpful to us, especially in terms of the data quantity and quality that we've been able to collect through Prolific.
There a specific like aha moment or breakthrough that happened like early days with Prolific that sort of like made it click, I suppose?
I would point to our MOMO project. That was our multimodal language model project, where the sort of aha moment came at the point at which we realized, the researchers realized that quality matters more than quantity in some regards when it comes to ultimately getting a state-of-the-art multimodal language model. And it really was crucial to have Prolific there as a partner in that project. We simply would not have been able to get the scale of data we needed, but also wouldn't have been able to sort of achieve that breakthrough of realizing that having these really amazing dense captions provided by the annotators that worked on this project with us, we wouldn't have been able to have that breakthrough without Prolific working with us. And that breakthrough wasn't just like on the team level. That had a ripple out impact on the research community. And it's really exciting to come to moments like that because, I mean, everyone says bigger isn't always better, and that's kind of a cliche, and you kind of don't believe it until it happens, and you think, oh, quality data, even at a smaller scale, can beat big data that is just not as good. And I think, yeah, the value that Prolific brought in that experience was profound.
For sure. From the top of my head, I can think about two features that have been really helpful to us. One of them is the task flow feature, which allowed us to basically just upload a CSV file of a bunch of different URLs, and Prolific would just automatically allocate those URLs to different random participants. So we don't kind of have to deal with all that logic behind the random assignment, and Prolific takes care of all of that. So that's been really helpful. And the other thing that's been helpful is that Prolific is developing this pool of AI taskers, which already went through a whole process of screening. So that has been really helpful to us as well, because those AI taskers have provided higher quality annotations to us. So that has also been really helpful.
That's great to hear. I guess I'm curious to know how you use Prolific and maybe how it's integrated into your research workflow. If you're able to explain a bit about how you have everything connected and integrated, and what your process looks like.
It's pretty straightforward. So we obviously are relying on Prolific for those great annotators. And to get started, you have to start off really with a great data strategy in place for developing any AI model. And so the researchers are coming at it like they're solving a problem. What is the outcome? What are the capabilities we're targeting, et cetera, when we're considering the final model. To get there, it's a long process, and starting with pre-training data, doing some experiments on a small level to verify, like I said, verify the data, scaling that up, and so on into the post-training cycle. And then there are also going to be evaluation sets and benchmarks that may need to be created. And so throughout that cycle, it's sort of taking some small bites, iterating, figuring out the best approach, scaling up, getting what we need for the pre-training, then the post-training, and evaluation to make sure that that cycle continues, moves on track, and is staying within the timeline that we're setting for ourselves. But also, like embracing any sort of surprises or anomalies along the way, because sometimes we are learning from the annotators as well. And that can be pretty profound in shaping the direction of the data strategy and ultimately leading to a more successful outcome for the project. So.
Because we mostly use Prolific for our human data collection. So that's basically the very first part of our model development cycle, actually, because we need kind of the data to start training our models. So at the very first step, we first develop our own interface for those data annotations for different video-related tasks. And then after we have this interface, we integrate it to the Prolific platform and identify the pool of participants that would be suitable for our type of annotations. So that whole process, as you already know, it's very rigorous, because we want to screen participants for their, for example, approval rate, and also if they had any video-related annotations experience. So the whole screening process is very important. And after that, we basically first launch like a small test batch on Prolific every time for a new task. And after the test task goes through successfully, we then launch a really large scale of data annotation, which goes up to thousands of tasks with even like thousands of participants to increase our data diversity, to collect basically the large scale data that we need for pre-training our models, as well as mid-training and post-training.
Amazing. And do you typically use the UI when you're when you're running studies, or are you working out of the API at all?
Yeah, we actually use both the UI and APIs. So for launching the study, we mostly rely on the UI because that's very user friendly, and we just basically create a draft study and then just tweak a few features on the UI, and then we can launch the study. But for kind of the after study process, where we approve and review all the participants' annotations, we mostly rely on the API. Due to the large quantity of our data collection, we kind of need this API feature to help us quickly process a large scale of data annotations that we've collected, and then reveal them programmatically through the API, and then approve the submissions that meet the requirements. So we mostly rely on the API for the approval process.
Prolific has been amazing in giving us a streamlined annotation platform that's really removed a lot of the heavy lift of managing human data manually. So with Prolific, actually, it's great. We don't have to choose between speed and quality. We can get really high quality data quickly that allows us to iterate and scale in lockstep with our project cycles.
I'm curious if you can share a like direct example of where human data that was collected directly influenced like the model being developed and like the choices being made around model development. Do you have an example that you can share?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, in one of our very recent tasks on video grounding, where we asked participants to find very specific objects on a video. For example, if we ask them to find the first book that appears on the bookshelf on the first row, then participants would kind of point out where the books are. But there are some tricky cases where, for example, if we ask them to point out a group of people waving flags, for example, some participants would point out individual people, so that would count for a lot of points, versus some other participants would just point out kind of the center point of this group of people. So because of that behavior, we kind of decided that for our model capability, we would also support both behaviors, where we would allow the model kind of design in which case it's better to point out individual people versus it's better to point out just the center point of a group of people. So that's kind of an interesting case where actually the human data inspire us to baking this new capability into the model to support, I guess, even more human-like behaviors for different kind of questions.
I guess, how do you see the relationship between human data collection and AI advancement evolving?
I mean, that's interesting. I can't say that I can predict it. It's the field, the environment is evolving and moving so fast that every day, something new or many new things are emerging. But I think the relationship between human data collection and AI development really is symbiotic, and they co-evolve. And so while maybe we don't know what the future necessarily looks like, I think we can say that the two will continue to shape each other in this feedback loop. And I think what is really important is that feedback loop is healthy, and that we understand that there is no AI without human data. And because, again, AI is a tool that is created for and by humans, it's pretty crucial for that tool to be relevant to humans and useful to humans and valuable to humans, that feedback loop is robust. And yeah, I would say Prolific is a great partner in that. And just based on my experience and what I've seen for Prolific's output, is that is really at the center of the work that Prolific is doing and leveraging, right? So that's what I can say about, I guess, the evolving relationship.
I'm curious if, through using Prolific, if your view of that inverse relationship has changed, or if you have a way of approaching speed and quality.
I guess when I think about those two, at least what I've observed and how the researchers have approached and sort of integrated Prolific into their working routines and cycles is just that there doesn't necessarily have to be a trade-off. Prolific doesn't slow us down. It actually is able to like iterate and scale sort of in lockstep with our project cycles. Our cycles are going to be different than maybe some other places. We are a research institute. And so the way that the researchers are working are, you know, in iterative steps and processes. And so there is a great way that Prolific enables that research-driven process to move forward. And the second we're ready to scale up, because the researchers have done enough ablations at a certain level to verify the validity of the data, the structure of the data, the content of the data, Prolific is ready to scale up with us. That's never been an issue. So if anything, I would just say, yeah, there doesn't have to be a trade-off with speed and quality. The two can scale together.
The last big question I have is around like metrics and observations, things that you've noticed with Prolific and how it's maybe improved model development or improved the data collection process. Like, how are you maybe judging Prolific's performance, and how has that been?
Yeah, that's also a really great point. Actually, also for this very recent video grounding annotation we were already able to collect a pretty large scale data set for that. And we already trained a few models on this data. So first, I would like to highlight that Prolific has helped me personally iterate on model development like much faster than before, because I was able to basically collect the data I need for training a toy model within like 1 day, and sometimes even within a few hours after I kind of like just made this workflow like really smooth. And because of that, I was also able to collect basically the full scale data I need for training a full model like within a week. So with that data, the models I trained, we basically found that on this counting task, for example, our model is able to match the performance of some of the closed source models like Gemini and GPT. So that's a really nice benefit of the high quality human data that we collected, that basically directly transfers into the strong capability of the model.
Yeah, I think my success metrics are my researchers happy? Are they getting the data they need? And does that show up in our model training cycles? And it does. And so that makes me happy.
Since we've implemented Prolific, I think researchers at Ai2 can now collect pilot data in a single day and scale up to very large data sets even within a week. So using Prolific's API, researchers can programmatically review and approve thousands of annotation, cutting what I think was once days of manual work into hours.
What would you tell someone in your position who's considering using Prolific?
Yeah, I would say use it. I think like any PM who is supporting AI development projects, AI-driven, teams who are developing these new technologies, if you're looking for a great platform to support human data collection, I really couldn't more strongly recommend Prolific as a partner. Again, like, of course, like there's the quality, there's the ability to scale in lockstep with what our researchers are doing, scaling, like on our time scale, but also just like being great partners to work with. I mean, again, just the fact that we have, been able to directly work with y'all to sort of add new features or address other things that just help. Like it helps our team work more efficiently and better, and it just like continues to remove any roadblocks that we might assume that generally could be faced in data collection. It's just we are sort of protected from that in so many ways because you all resolve those things before they are emergent. So Yeah.
Last question before we wrap up. You're working on a video model right now, doing research for that. I guess what is next? Do you have any ideas of beyond video, what type of research you're gonna be focused on, or is that gonna be pretty consistent, would you say?
Yeah, so for me personally, and also for the prior team at AI2, multimodal language model has been a focus and will continue to be a focus for the next year. So of course, we will continue to work on video language models to support even like more capabilities. For example, like longer videos, or like extend it to like even more fine-grained kind of capabilities. And for me personally, I'm also working on developing multimodal agents. One example of that would be a web navigation agent, which would help you kind of navigate in the web browser and basically do a bunch of tasks for you. So that's multimodal agents is also a focus of my research personally.